I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. You know, we all know that taking things is wrong. Taking people's money, taking their stuff, taking their girlfriends or boyfriends, wives, husbands, whatever. We all know that taking is wrong. But what about if you take what's already yours? Your life, for instance. Why do people get so freaked out about people punching their own clock? You know, you only can kill one person when you do it. You can't be a suicide serial killer. So what if you take your own life? The line at Starbucks will be a tad shorter, and we won't have to listen to you whine about how bad your life is anymore. But when you're dead, we'll talk great about you. By the way, this is not a Titus Podcast challenge, so don't get any ideas about just taking yourself off the planet. I just find it weird that we care so much when someone is in pain and they get themselves out of pain. Robin Williams' suicide has caused a crazy investigative onslaught not seen since the JFK assassination, yet the woman Brittany Maynard that killed herself in Oregon because of a brain tumor seems to have a free pass and heartfelt sympathies. Now, I have suicide in my family. At least they were ruled suicides. Seriously, taking your own life is a big deal. It's one of those few no-take-back things that are rare in this life. Yeah, there are very few no-take-backs. Suicide, third trimester of pregnancy, crapping your pants on stage during the third grade Christmas pageant, and you're never going to hear the end of that one! No take-backs are life-changing events that change the course of your existence. What would cause you to crank yourself off this mortal coil? You know, people feel bad about Robin Williams because he made us laugh for so long. He was always in charge of the room when he walked in, a force of life to be reckoned with. So why not let him run his life and let him call it when he wants to? Come on, Robin was a superstar who won Oscars and was loved worldwide. He raided life's mini bar, got the best of the best. Let him check out when he wants to. A life force who had been told that Parkinson's was going to slowly turn the dimmer switch down on his genius, who had a rare form of dementia that made you hallucinate, and not in the good way. Who the hell are any of us to decide what someone should do with their life? No one cared about the woman in Oregon. No one said that she should ride it out until she's seizing like a small block Chevy with gravel in the oil pan, until she was getting changed daily by her husband who used to leave skid marks in his shorts. But yet, they think that Robin should have hung around, suffered like his friend Christopher Reeve, a man taken down by a horse jumping a park bench who slowly atrophied until there was nothing left. Or Robin should have hung around like Richard Pryor, just slowly diminishing the genius until the man that used to lift us up had to be lifted to take a dump. A man whose brilliance inspired legions of comedians should have hung around and watched those same comedians pity him? Fuck that. Robin Williams ran his life from beginning to the end. His last decision was his last decision, no one else's. Now, I love this life. All I get to do and have done makes me rejoice at the joy this world provides. But if tomorrow you told me that all who had laughed with me would soon pity me and I would slowly fade as I shit myself in a battery-powered personal transportation seat, I would slit my wrists and jump into a shark tank. I would jump out of an airplane holding a refrigerator so I plowed into a cornfield at a tad over terminal velocity. I would get incredibly high first, though, and have sex with my super hot wife for a couple weeks. But then I would end it. Like I wanted to. Now, I hope to God you never want to take your life. But if things get to a place where suicide will end the pain of a 3-month cancer death or stop the humiliation of a debilitating nerve disorder and you want to go out on your terms, I got no opinion. It's your life and your death. But if you're going to kill yourself, frame your enemies for murder. I'm Christopher Titus, and this is the Armageddon Update. Hello, everybody. Christopher Titus Podcast. And by the way, if you thought I'm going to take myself off the planet, and before that I'm going to listen to Titus Podcast, boy, this is a universe working in a mysterious way. Because we're going to be talking about suicide today. Whee! Woohoo! The last ride. With me, as always, to the right is the lovely Rachel Bombshell Rae.
Hello.
And across from me, as always, Willie Jello.
What's up, people? Now, see, black people don't be committing suicide too much. We do suicide by cop quite a bit.
All right, we're not stopping there. We're not even going to start. We're not going to do this.
That was 30 seconds. That was impressive.
Right, dude, I can't believe you kicked it off that early.
Hey, man, you got to bring up what you got to bring up when you could bring it up.
Okay, stop talking for now.
All right. You take a minute, do what you gonna do.
You'll be happy to know that I actually was giving Titus's daughter today a lesson on Rodney King, which segued into the LA riots, which segued into the O.J. Simpson trial.
You did studies on O.J. Simpson, right?
I did, but I had talked for an hour and 10 minutes.
About the whole thing.
I woke her up and she said, "Where am I?" But I was riveted.
And who is Rodney King?
Yeah, see, that's it, man. You're going to find that in no history book. One of the biggest explosions, biggest trouble, biggest uprisings in the damn history of the last 50 years, and you're going to read about it nowhere. See, that's the problem with it, man. See, nobody wants to hear about the real problems in this country. What they want to hear is what they want to hear. And when you white people start talking about Rodney King and you start talking about O.J. Simpson, you guys cross the line, man, you know? And the Bill Cosby rape thing, although I would say that was valid. But you guys, it's weird, man, when a bunch of white people sit around talking about, like, some black problems.
What?
Well, it's all, isn't it?
It's not a black problem. It's a human problem.
Right.
What are you talking about,
Yeah,
you racist motherfucker?
That's racist.
You're racist.
All right, you're right. I love y'all. Let's do this.
I mean, he was running from the cops. I mean, that's just...
Okay, stop. We have got off track. I can't believe I got 2 sentences and we got off track. At the intro. We got off track at the intro. That never happens.
What is this? What are we talking about?
I just want to talk about...
Introduce me again.
And to my right, Rachel Bombshell Rae.
What's up, people?
And to my left, I'm not even going to introduce you again. You already had your say. Let's move on.
Oh, that's messed up.
Yeah, that's right.
Racist.
So suicide. So I was watching the way people deal with suicide different, and it's weird to watch that it's not the same all the way across the board. The lady Brittany Maynard who killed herself in Oregon because she had a brain tumor, and she had decided, she said, you know, I'm getting this medication that can take my own life 6-10 weeks before, and I'm just going to decide one day. And people were like, oh, okay. And then basically because she had announced it, and it was a valid reason, I guess people thought, that they said, okay, she could take herself out, and she was on the cover of People magazine and this and that. Robin Williams, who surprises us, he like most of his life, he improv'd the suicide. He just went for it and surprised everybody. I heard a lot of people talking bad about him. What was he doing? Why couldn't he hang in there? You know, what was going on with him? He was depressed. He was screwed up. He was this, he was that. And I go, no. He wasn't screwed up. He was quite aware of what was going on. That's what I believe. And I've had suicide in my family. I had my mother killed herself. She actually took a gun and shot herself in the heart.
Allegedly.
Yeah, after that's what the okay. So she
went Nirvana style, right? It was a rifle.
A rifle, yes, Nirvana style. By the way, please don't kill yourself Nirvana style, because Courtney Love can't take the scrutiny. Yes, Courtney Love was involved. Yes, my mom, she was visiting my mom, and my mom was killed Nirvana style. Yes.
But it was a rifle. This is something you haven't talked about, right?
This is a weird story. I'm going to talk about my mother's suicide now. So, my mom committed suicide. She'd gone into prison for a while. I talked about it in my show, but I never talked about it seriously. And I talked about the suicide in joke form, like most suicides are talked about.
Which the TV show?
I did. I talked about her suicide in Norman Rockwell.
Yeah, but you didn't talk about
what happened.
Right, and how it was sort of...
It was freaky. Okay, so my mom had got arrested. She went to a therapy program for a while. She got out of prison. She was living in a trailer with this guy named Dean, from my sister said, and Dean was very abusive. And Mom had made dinner. And when they found her, she had made dinner for 2 people, her and Dean, and yet she was on the bed with a hole in her chest and a rifle in her hands. So... if you do any research on suicides here and there, you find that if people do that, people that commit suicide want to make a statement. They want to go like, look at, it's up to you. But we'll get to the second suicide in my family in a second, which will prove this case. Most people, when they commit suicide, they do want the people that have hurt them, that they see who have caused the suicide, to understand it. And what they don't do is they don't make themselves dinner. They make that person dinner. See how good I am to you? I made you dinner, and then I killed myself. Take that. So the Dean's cousin or nephew or something was the sheriff of this town, and it was ruled a suicide.
But also, I mean, unless you have incredibly monkey arms, which you do, so maybe...
My mom did not.
Maybe they run in the family, but your mom was small. She was petite.
Yeah, you can put your arm right there and pull the trigger. I guess
well, that's because you can't measure from your arm to body distance because, I mean, nobody. Right. I mean, you could swing from trees in Africa if you wanted to.
Right.
And feed me a banana.
All right, now who's getting racist?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, Africa, banana, yeah, and I'm the black guy sitting right here.
Okay, you're taking it too far today.
No,
you
he's
have
got
to,
really long arms. That was all I was saying.
I do have monkey arms.
But
That's racist
isn't
toward
that
monkeys.
hard
That's
to-
racist toward monkeys.
is it hard to support it as a very small female that doesn't work out and spends most of your time in mental health facilities and to do the trigger? And would you aim for your chest? And why wouldn't you just get a handgun or take some pills?
Why wouldn't you end it fast and shoot yourself in the head?
Right.
Even if you could.
Right.
You know, why would you? I mean, anyway, so there's some questions about my mother's suicide. And
I mean, no one's asking the questions. But
well, you know why? Because mom in her life was mentally ill. She caused more problems than she solved. And I think people are just like, okay, suicide, great, moving on. In fact, they do the bit in Norman Rockwell when we heard mom had been, you know, we all have a relative in our life that we wish wasn't in our life because of the avenue of the trail of nightmares that they have left. You know, there should never be a house fire on Thanksgiving. You know, those relatives where, oh my God, how did you guys go in the backyard and talk for 5 minutes and then grandpa's got a bloody nose? How did that happen? I mean, those kind of people. Well, you showed up again on Christmas and you asked everybody for $500. What is that? What investment is that? You know, those people, and there comes a point after 15 years of dealing with that person, you're like, you know what? If you don't show up on Thanksgiving, we will be thankful. That's what happens. You're right. Exactly.
It's interesting what you just said, that she caused more problems than she solved. And I feel like that maybe that's the issue with Robin Williams. And I think that that's also the issue that's coming up with Bill Cosby, is that both of them have solved more problems than they've caused in their lifetime. Well, I mean, let me specifically refer to Robin Williams when I say that. But Bill Cosby was obviously causing some problems, but was really good at covering it up. Right. But it, to the public eye, you know, he has given quite a bit. And Robin Williams, his whole life, through art, through comedy, through performance,
and
through
literally
charity.
writing checks.
Right. And so that, I think that makes it more difficult to live with.
Well, I get that. I get that he was beloved. I get it. What bothers me is like people were like, why did he take his own life? And I will again, and I'll say this, and I've said it before. If you're Robin Williams and you got told you were going to have everything that that's ever gotten you anywhere in your life, that made people love you, that made you the superstar that you are, that gave you the joy, the insight, and the life that you currently lived, and you actually got told that, by the way, Parkinson's is going to turn that down a click at a time over the next 10 years. Oh, and by the way, you're going to die. You're going to die horribly painful, and you're going to live with 10 years of nightmare. On top of that, we're going to actually throw in a little protein that's going to be on your nerve endings called Dewey. Was it called Dewey? What was it?
Lewy body dementia.
Lewy body dementia. Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of one of the. I was thinking one of the dwarfs. Yeah, the ducks. Huey, Louie, and Dewey. It's Huey, Louie, Dewey dimension. And you're gonna talk like a duck.
That would be sweet.
What do you got?
Hey! Slow down. Slow down. What do you have? You're a duck and you don't even know what you have. Once you become the duck character, you're supposed to know the name of the illness. The duck character. No, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. This is Lewy body.
Yeah, that's the weirdest shit you ever done on the scene, man. Did you just talk like Donald Duck, man? You just talk like Donald Duck.
What was amazing is I could understand him.
The hell is wrong with you?
I had Huey, Louie, Dewey dementia. That's what I had. So Robin Williams had it, which basically, and your grandfather had this, right?
My grandfather just passed away November year before last from Lewy body dementia. He was diagnosed while he was alive. I mean, there's a lot of talk now with this that you diagnose it with autopsy, but he was diagnosed while he was alive, and they give you 5 years max. He lived 4, and it's horrible. It's really horrible, and I think that that's what started to happen. And I almost wonder because
how old is your grandfather, by the way?
I need to finish a thought because I'm jumping around. He was 78.
Okay.
He got it. I think he was diagnosed when he was 73 or 74. You know, military, badass, patriarch. everything together, every hair in place, and it's what I'm reading about Robin Williams, and they're saying that
house was in place. The way he lived his life was in place. He was high and tight. That dude was. Your grandfather was on his game all the time.
Coast Guard chief, yeah,
Right.
and his house was like a ship, man. I mean, and so you hallucinate. I watched that happen with him, and you know, some people are saying now there's already a biography about Robin Williams coming out just in time for Christmas. And it's the lady saying she thinks it first started in 2004 because he started having a beard and he looked unkempt, and that's bullshit. You don't live, Louis Body, you don't live longer than 5 years. My grandmother got books on it and studied it, and
yeah, and he grew beards for roles all the time, and he was in. Yeah,
and he's a comic, for God's
Right,
sakes.
right.
But my grandfather no longer could really keep himself together. That all.
Yeah, I love that beard was one of her diagnoses.
Yeah. Or he's a hipster. We're not
Right,
sure.
exactly.
But he couldn't take care of himself anymore, and he's seeing things, and they were saying that a lot of times that people with Lewy body have what's called Lilliputian hallucinations, which have small creatures and people, and small
Tiny. Oh, I kind of want this.
And well, no,
Are they not nice?
No, well, this says they usually don't find these frightening, just very real. And I can say 100% that they do find them very frightening, and that the last 3 years of my grandfather's life, he lived in utter terror.
Right.
He was terrified. He knew my grandmother was poisoning him. Every food we put in front of him, he thought he had something about bombs and explosions.
Yep.
Do you remember this?
Yep.
Every time he was afraid to put on his shoes because he thought his shoes were going to explode.
Right.
And he would see these spinning bright lights on his pajama pants. I mean, he's like dementia sourced by Ringling Brothers.
He thought, remember that we hit hard too? It hit hard with the first thing that it hit hard with was that the FBI was coming to get him for the wetlands.
Oh, Lord.
Remember the wetlands?
He called the FBI. That's when everyone realized he was
Called
sick.
the FBI on himself.
To turn himself in.
For ruining the wetlands.
Interrupting the wetlands in North Carolina.
Yeah, he actually, it wasn't even like he killed.
Here's what's great about old people, and this is what I fully expect from the two of us,
Right.
is that if we're together, we're together. You know that, man. You're my man.
That's right.
You know,
And I
like
got
we
your
are
back.
tight. And so my grandma,
You got loyal.
who doesn't have dementia, is the one that dialed the phone for the FBI for him to call to turn himself in.
What? I didn't know that, really?
Oh, yeah. Which is why my whole family now thinks my grandma is nutty, and she's not. That was just her motherfucker, man. If he wants to call the FBI and he was that, you get really wound up and upset, and he thinks he's done. So she's like, all right.
Just at my level, just as sometimes I ask you to do stuff and you're like, I'm crazy, and you go, all right, and you start working on it.
I'd rather deal with the FBI than you sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? I want to keep my boy happy. So, but he would
t-shirt.
see.
I would rather deal with the FBI than you. That's a great quote. You just put that on a t-shirt.
And you is universal.
Right.
He would think that there was a sniper at the mailbox. He'd be afraid to walk down the driveway. He saw people everywhere trying to kill him. And it's like I told you, it's like my best way of describing Lewy body dementia, and I told you this a few weeks ago, is that you become like this super spy who poops his pants. And that's the best description.
That's 00 number 2.
Every once in a while, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, man, I got it. I
How
still
do
got
you
it.
come up with this stuff? Oh my gosh. You guys will see that joke on stage. I just took it. I do a bit about my grandparents, and I want to write more. I want to write more about my grandfather's illness. Can I have it?
Well, I ain't gonna use it, man. Hell, yeah, I can. How many people can I tell on 3rd and Western? Yeah, sure. That's your. Willie wrote you a joke. Leave it.
Finally,
that's for you.
thank you. He, I want to do more of a bit, but I ended up in the living room, like a full-on cage match wrestling with my grandfather one day to try to get him to eat a biscuit.
What? I didn't know this. What happened?
This was that time before I left. Remember, I had to stay longer. I was taking care of my grandma because she had knee replacement, and she was his sole support, shower, everything. So I had to come.
And in the midst of him needing her more than ever, she has to get a knee replacement.
Yes.
Right.
And she called me and said, I need your help. And
the universe is fun.
But she's my homie. So I went for a week, and I had to extend it, remember, because we had to put him in the emergency room because he was like doing that weird thing in the hallway. Well, this was a couple days before that, and he wouldn't eat, and he had to eat like he was sick, and I tried to make him go to the table, and he like didn't remember or realize anymore that I was me and granddaughter, and yay, we're gonna. And so he dug his toes in and leaned full north, like he was like
on you.
He full blown fist going, and you know me, I don't care if you're a 78-year-old man with dementia. If you're gonna challenge me,
bring it.
Right.
You're a weird person.
Don't come for me unless I send for you, old man. And so all of a sudden I found myself toe to toe
with your grandfather,
forehead pressed against forehead, like, and we were full blown pushing with all of our might.
So, which I'm sure someone who's already paranoid, I'm sure that it would not amplify it at all. That this person that they don't really remember is now trying to slam them into a chair and feed him a biscuit that's probably poisoned while he's pooping himself. You're right. I'm sure he was fine.
Yeah, maybe you could have gave him a pillow and some milk or something instead of have to fight the old man. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what is wrong with you?
I tried to take him down. I forgot where I was and who I was. He started it.
Yeah, your officer, the man with dementia, started it.
My grandma told me, you have to help me. You have to. And so when she did leave the room, this probably might not have happened if anyone else had been there to witness it. But she wanted me to get him to the table. It was very important.
There would have been a, what the hell are you doing, Rachel? Come out here. What the hell are you doing? Why are you pushing him? Stop pushing him.
I'm caring for an elderly man.
So... Okay, so that's what this Dewey dementia thing does. It makes
Louis body.
Louis Dewey. Listen.
He did go into Ruby Tuesdays and would not enter the place, would not go in unless he could speak to the manager. This was our dinner 3 days prior, and my mother just hiding. My mom's like the kid when she's with us, just goading him on, but he had to speak to the manager, so I went and got a hostess and asked her to please pretend that she was the manager and ignore everything that he said. And he told her that it was on her head if she let him in that restaurant because his shoes were liable to explode and blow up the whole place. He thought he was going to kill everybody. He thought he was bringing the bombs in and he was responsible for killing everyone. And she told him it was fine if he did just come in and have some lasagna. But that's what it does to your mind. And people are saying that Robin Williams, they think that he had started to hallucinate.
Right. So now you've got this guy who gave us some of the best visuals, like he could create great hallucination with words that we all laughed at. Now he is losing all control of that. On top of that, during these hallucinations, he's having Parkinson's. So a lot of people said, oh, he was depressed. No, he wasn't. He was specifically sure about what was going to happen to him and said, I'm not going out like that. And that's what I believe. Because every comic I know, every comedian I know is the exact same way. When you are the guy that runs the room, when you are the guy that comes in and you make other people happy, the last thing you want to see is losing that control. But I think that's a little too egotistical. I think this has to do with watching one of his best friends, Christopher Reeve, go down over 10 years and watching Richard Pryor go down over 10 years. I said, it's not like Robin didn't know what was going to happen. And then you're going to have all these guys just talking about how, oh, we feel so bad for you, bro. What's up, bro? If comedians come up to you and they can't talk shit to you, like comedians have this weird thing. I don't know if you guys have a family. My family was very insulting. We would insult each other all the time.
Yeah, your dad was harsh, man.
He was harsh. On you, too.
He wasn't just harsh. He was racist, flat out racist.
But you were a black guy.
Yeah, you're right.
What?
I'm just saying, your dad never let me forget I was a black guy.
Can you ever really forget?
It's a good point.
Let me finish. Okay, so we lived in a family where we insult each other all the time. Comedians are like that. You have to be able to take an insult and give one just being on stage. So I was trained. The worst thing that a comedian, or most people, is pity. I hate pity. If you're going to pity me, please walk away from me. And all I can think is Robin, who was one of the baddest comics to ever walk the planet, I would say, was having to face that he was going to slowly get taken out. And so he took his own life. What I don't like about it, and why I want to talk about it now, is because now all these people on the news are saying, this, that, poor Robin, why'd he do it? Maybe it was this, maybe it was that. Hey, How about this? Give the guy some dignity. Robin Williams knew he was sick. Robin Williams knew it was going to be horrible. He knew it wasn't going to get better, so he took his own life. And that's when I go, I'm in a weird way, I have such respect for that. Brittany Maynard, she announced it. She's like, you know what? I have this brain tumor. I love my husband, I love my family, but you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to be in pain. I'm not going to be crapping myself next to my husband in bed. I'm going to love him. I'm going to have as much fun as we can. And when the day I decide, I'm going to go. But no one got all freaked out about that. They were like fine with it because Oregon has a law. So I don't understand. And by the way, why do we have laws against suicide if you can't arrest anybody if you commit the crime? Mind blown. Moving on. What do you do?
It's you know, they always say it's a victimless crime. It's actually a perpetratorless crime.
Right. It's a perpetratorless crime.
Perpetratorless.
Hey, that's my new rap name. Yo, MC Perpetratorless. What's up? Not here. I'm dead. Perpetratorless.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
All right, you didn't have to do that, man. That was
Yeah,
too
you did.
far.
That was awesome.
That was pretty cool.
You know what? I want to let me just Bombshell Rae, CSI in the house. I just watched somebody go through this.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody who's so on top of his game, and he was not there anymore to have killed himself.
But had he known, let me ask you about your grandfather. Do you think he'd make sure your grandma was okay first? But do you think had he known that everybody was going to go through what they were going to go through around him and that he was going to have no control anymore, do you think he would have considered taking his own life?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is he couldn't have. He couldn't. I think he might have, period. But there are not with Lewy body, and it comes on so rapidly, and the medication does not really do anything. I mean, it's crazy. And it's these basically spots in your brain. It's blocking information. He couldn't. There was a vague point I can remember diagnosis where you had a very short conversation with him, and he had a moment of clarity.
Yeah.
And then he goes away. He's not there. Moments of clarity are like that.
We were sitting on a porch outside, and I said, and you know me, I just cut right to it. And I said, so how you doing, man? How's this thing affecting you, this dementia thing? And because I guess, I don't know, I'm an idiot. And
because no one was talking about it. Yeah.
And he goes, you'll never know what, he goes, I hope you never know what it's like to have something happening in front of you, and yet you know it's not there. And he goes, and it's real. And then he just kind of went away again. He sat back.
But that's what I'm saying.
And then Aunt Dwayne came out and started talking politics, and then that was it.
He pretended to fade away.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. What I'm saying is I almost wonder if, because they're saying that he was already having hallucinations. So, and this is alleged and me just thinking, but I just feel like maybe he had some sort of pact with someone, with his wife or something, because once my grandfather was in the stage of hallucination, it was so far gone. It was so far gone. He did not have the faculties. You lose your physical capabilities.
Not right at the beginning. Not right at the beginning when he was doing the thing with the FBI. The first big burst of it, he got a little he had moments of lucidity, and I don't think Robin was down that far the road. I mean, it's so speculative anyway because of the TV, but I don't think Robin was that far in. And Robin just said, "No, I'm not." You got to remember, this guy had access.
He was married. He lived with his wife. They weren't married that long. I mean, it wasn't long enough to be in separate bedrooms, and she didn't look for him until the next day when he was supposedly found. I'm just saying, maybe he worked it out. Maybe he said, "When I start to go, help me." I'm just saying. I'd like to turn everything into a mystery. I'm like Nancy Drew.
Well, if I start to go like that, will you help me?
No.
I will. I got your back, man.
No,
you want to kill yourself?
I'll kill you.
I'm in right now.
I'll definitely kill you.
Yeah, you want to do it after, though.
I'll kill you first.
But then you're going to have to kill yourself, and it'll be 3 perpetratorless crimes. See, perpetratorless.
Actually, it would only be 2 crimes.
Yeah, right.
And 1 mercy killing.
I love that you jumped in would help me kill myself really fast.
Yo, man, I got your back. 100%.
No, I am going to keep you, and I have it on record. I'm going to show it in court where you said, unless I'm really funny. And then Dress me up like a Viking, film a movie. I don't care.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm brain dead.
Right.
So I'm going to dress you in the Yorkies in matching outfits and put you all in a stroller and take you to the mall.
And you're going to use the 5th annual End of the World tour as evidence in court that you can keep me alive and be
5th
brain
annual
dead?
End of the World tour, my all-time favorite Christopher Titus special, available at ChristopherTitus.com just in time for Creeks.
Along with the other ones. I want to explain something about that. Someone was asking me, Neverlution is one of my best. It's just one of my best. It just is. But we did a CD of it first in Aspen. And it was like a rush job, and we got it done, and then they released that CD. We filmed the special 6 months later in San Diego. It's an entirely different show. The DVD, if you have the CD, guys, the DVD is one of the best performances I think I've ever had. We did the screen behind us and stuff. And so if you got the CD and you're like, this isn't as good as I thought, go to the DVD. 6 months later, it got crazy good. That being said, all the other DVDs are available at ChristopherTitus.com. Moving on.
Just in time for Creeks Mix.
Now, when it comes to suicide, Robin Williams' specific suicide wasn't out of anger towards anybody. It wasn't to hurt anybody. It wasn't to see. He didn't leave a note. If he did leave a note, it was for his family, and we didn't get to see it, which is great. My sister Kirsten, on the other hand, who was raised by my mother, and this kid did not have a chance. Kirsten, I don't think I've ever talked. Have I talked about this on the podcast? My sister Kirsten, who was raised by my mother, who was mentally ill. Kirsten wasn't. Mom was, and Kirsten was lost a lot in her life. We got her to do the Landmark Forum. She kind of came back and forth. She was always overly dramatic, wrote beautiful poetry, but really emotional. And she had been dating this guy for a while. They were a couple of years. And by the way, Kirsten and I had huge, like, crazy things. She came down for Christmas one time, showed up, went to the airport to pick her up. She had changed her flight and got into a flight the next day. So we were supposed to pick her at midnight. We showed there, but she didn't show up. She shows up the next day at 3 o'clock, but didn't call us to tell us that. So I was, can you imagine me in that situation? So then we got into the cabin. We'd given her ski clothing. She'd set it on the radio, burned it, and then hid it. And she was just kind of irresponsible. She's kind of a kid. So we had a fight. We had a fight. And here's how dramatic she was. We get home from the cabin that night after snowboarding. It's 11 o'clock at night. And we argued. Oh, I know. We had the argument 6 hours earlier at the cabin and drove home. She didn't say a word, wouldn't talk to anybody on the way home. By the way, this is a 30-year-old woman at the time. Got home to the house. She went inside, grabbed her suitcase, and walked up to the curb. And it's midnight. And I go, "What are you doing?" I called a cab. "I'm leaving. I have a hotel. I'm going." Over a pair of ski pants? We didn't even have that big of an argument about it. So what happened was that she was dating this guy back and forth. She lived in Florida. Hurricane Ivan or something had come through 2 weeks before. Her and her boyfriend were on and off, like 3 days together, 3 days not. So about the 5th or 6th time, I guess this happened, she went to his house. He was an EMT, went into his bedroom, got his gun out of the top drawer of his dresser, sat at the end of his bed, put the gun in her mouth, and blew her brains all over his headboard. Now, that's a suicide that we don't. That's just an angry suicide. That's a "you did me wrong, I want to hurt you, I'm going to show you how bad I can hurt you" suicide. Those suicides, I think, have some severe mental illness attached. It's not like Kirsten had she could have just faced the fact that she was healthy, happy, and she could have just moved on. There's 3 billion men, but she didn't. And that's a suicide that we should all be angry about. Oh, I feel so sorry. You know what? I know she's my sister and I love her, but I don't feel angry about it. I'm sad she's not here, but I'm angry about it. I mean, I do feel angry about it. I feel like you could have done a million other things than that. If I was going to die horribly in pain and not be who I was, I have no problem taking myself out at all.
I get what you're saying. Because here's the thing. So let's say that I couldn't be Willie no more, right? Like I can't 3rd and West, they have me in a wheelchair. They have me they're like, "Oh, that used to be Willie." Anytime you stop being you and you got to be used to be you, like when people talk about who you used to be, you moved on. And if you're sick or something, I kind of get it. I kind of agree with this. I would take myself out too at one point if I knew Maybe I would just jump out of an airplane or something. No, song, shoot, you know?
I just have a problem with suicide in general, and I don't have the same view.
Is it a biblical problem?
No, because it's not. I mean, people make that up, but it doesn't specifically say in the Bible that if you kill yourself, you go to hell. All veins of religion have their own interpretation of it, but no, it's not that. It's
one religion says you get 72 virgins if you commit suicide in the correct way.
Right. And then there's another one that says purgatory. And
right.
yeah, I just think it's more of a, again, a humanity issue. I just think, I mean, I don't feel like it's up to me to decide when I come and when I go. Well, when I come, but not
even
when I
if
go.
you're going to spend the next 2 years in horrific pain and not being yourself.
I understand what you're saying about him. I understand that. I also think that in some ways he did that to himself. And you know how I feel about what you put in your body is 100% what comes out of your body, 100%. And I'm really learning that more right now because I've scared the crap out of myself with some things that I've been reading, some studies and stuff. And he put a lot of really angry chemicals in his body for a long, long time.
Right.
And it manifests itself now or later, but no matter what, it comes out. And to have Parkinson's and dementia, like, wow.
Well, I mean, doesn't it make sense that you're doing cocaine or drugs, whatever, and you have brain-altering chemicals?
Yes.
Doesn't it make total sense that your brain would be affected by that?
Yes.
Okay.
But I do understand what you're saying.
But that aside, okay, so now because he did that and was stupid, didn't think about it, he has to suffer for it?
I do understand what you're saying.
Right.
I totally get that. And I don't feel like fired up about it or anything. I just feel like, okay, well, right. I just personally, for me, the way I feel about him is it's none of my business. And that's very much how I feel.
Right.
About anybody. You
Same with
make
the lady
your
with the
own
brain tumor.
decision. But
Right.
I mean, for me personally, yeah, I'm not saying that she's wrong either. And in some ways you could argue that it takes a little more bravery, but for me personally, with no judgment on anyone else, I couldn't do that. I don't think it's my right to decide that.
Interesting. I actually think that so we have some states, I don't know how many states, some states have a right to die law, and some states do not, which I find to live in it's weird. America's this weird place. We have 50 different countries within a big country. And there's so many rules and attitudes in other states that I just shake my head. I go, you're like a different country than like most of us. There's some hardcore states that I just go, I don't understand why you guys make those rules. And for the Supreme Court, which has made some dumbass decisions in the last 5 years, I think, we should have a constitutional right to die.
It is interesting. It is interesting that, all these personal freedom screamers, your right to own a gun, your right to but as soon as you bring up
cigarettes.
right to die, oh, whoa, no. And I am wondering, I would love to hear from people because this is something that I haven't really thought about. And I love to listen to a lot of opinions and ideas, and people have been sending me research, which is amazing, on different things. And so I want to hear what people think about this right to die.
We will we're going to do a new segment starting next week, which is going to be are we bringing back, are we going to tell him? Are we bringing it back?
I'm afraid to tell him because then he might think it's work and he won't show up.
We're going to bring back Axe Willie.
No, man, you ain't bringing back Axe Willie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people love to Axe Willie. They love to Axe Willie. And then we can get involved with the question too, but it's got to be called Axe Willie because this is the best name.
I think it's actually Brad and Charlotte that brought it up. It was his idea. People want to ask questions in general, but we thought we would throw it on you.
Oh, damn, man. I will say this. I love doing Axe Willie once in a while. But, all right, so here's the deal then. You bring the question in, I'm going to just answer it here. I ain't going to do no research on the question. I'm going to give you what I got, all right?
That's all we want.
But people can ask questions of any of us.
Right.
But it all goes through our moderator, Willie.
All you got to do is ask.
Oh, see, now he's on board.
Now he's on board. You see.
So if you have questions for any of us, especially for Willie, you can send them to tituspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. So my opinion about this is if you are a psychopath and you are in an emotional state where you are not acting like yourself, I don't think suicide is a choice. I don't think it's a good choice. I think it's a bad choice. If you are dying of a horrible disease and your family wants you around to suffer for 3 years with it, my attitude about it is like, you know what? Figure out your life, make your peace with the world, and go out the way you want to go out. That's how I feel about it. My sister, my mom... We still don't know what happened with my mom. My mom was mentally ill and was never going to go away, and she wouldn't take her medication. She may have just decided. My dad. Let's talk about my dad. My dad, I will not say commit suicide. My father, by the way, had 6 heart attacks. He had been told the Thursday before he died that he had a tumor in his lung the size of a baseball. And he had told a friend down the street that day when he went out down to this guy named Wes's house and sat in his living room and they talked about it. And my dad said, quote, "Fuck cancer, I'm not going out like that." And my dad had he had 6 heart attacks and he had an enlarged heart. That's when a giant sack of water forms around your heart. And he couldn't, as my dad always say, "Yeah, we said I had a giant sack." Ha ha.
I was waiting.
It's one of his real jokes. He used to tell that joke all the time. So he had to sleep sitting up on pillows, and he told me once. He said, he goes, the sad thing about this congestive heart failure is that I got to sit up and sleep against the wall on a bunch of pillows. And when they found him, there was no pillows. He was laying flat on the bed, flat out. Pillows were all spread out on the floor. So I think my dad had decided he wasn't going to go out. So I think I might have that genetic propensity to just go, you know what, I'm on my way out.
No.
Yes.
What if you do it,
all right,
and then you could have been like cured or made okay or snuggled a lot of times?
I will tell you this. I think Robin Williams saw every doctor possible on the planet. He was Robin freaking Williams.
Well, not in his case. I mean you.
Right.
I'm talking about you.
Yeah, my dad had Kaiser.
You're the
I don't
kind
know
of
if my dad...
You're the kind of rash reactor where you're like, I'm dying. It's over. And then I get the test results and it's...
ingrown hair. He had ingrown hair on his left nipple. He thought it was a heart attack. He killed himself. He's an idiot.
That's you.
By the way, that's my reactive side, and I totally agree with that.
That's why it worries me when you say that.
No, I'm not even talking about it. I'm just saying if you come to me, you have Parkinson's, you have a thing that's slowly eating holes in your brain, I'm going to be like, okay, well, all I got is my brain, and it ain't much. So you and I are going to go somewhere for a really long vacation until you start to look like a dragon, and then you're going to let me take the pill and go out. Okay?
Take the blue pill. I had one suicide in my family that I know of, and I may have mentioned this way.
Do you know this?
I didn't know this.
Did I tell you?
No.
I didn't tell you.
What is this?
It was my Uncle Doc, and all I remember is going to visit him with my Aunt Elizabeth, who had Alzheimer's. She was living with him. They were brother and sister, and she always thought people were stealing her pies, and he was in the recliner.
I love stuff like this.
It's the South, though. Right. I love that was the level of her hallucination, was that someone was coming in the house and stealing her pies.
Somebody take my pie.
Well, really, was the truth was that she was just lazy.
Right.
Bitch, you ain't baked a pie since 72. Nobody's stealing your pies. Sit down and shut up.
I like the way your head was swiveling on that last one. That's cool.
Thank you.
That's cool.
I know she was.
But Uncle Doc, I remember
yes,
he would have these really bad headaches because I remember asking my parents why he has these like Karate Kid ties sideways around his head so tight that you could see that it was making all the blood go to the top.
So he would like take belts and wrap around his skull?
Yeah, but more like Karate Kid. It was those kind of...
soft fabric belts?
Right.
Yeah.
With the red sun in the center.
Oh, flat out like belts, really.
And he would say, "What?" And I'd say, Uncle
By
Doc.
the way, he wasn't. That was just he just in that much pain.
And then he'd raise both arms up in the air.
Why are you doing a Bruce Lee movie? No, I'm in pain. You're laughing too wrong at that.
But anyway, the next thing we heard, he walked out to the edge of his driveway because he was a giver and blew his brains out with a revolver at the edge of his driveway where people lived and children rode their bikes and what have you. And
because he didn't want the carpet to get messed up. He didn't want to hurt the house.
Well, Aunt Elizabeth was in there.
Yeah, he could have went to the backyard, though.
He could have, but that's where the dude was trying to get in the window to steal her pie. So there's only so much room. But talking about the most inappropriate Christmas gift Christmas gift ever. And I would also love to hear what people's most inappropriate Christmas gifts ever have been.
Yes.
My father got that revolver when he cleaned out the house and wrapped it and gave it to my brother the next year for Christmas. My brother was like,
you know what?
wow.
You have this great family, and I love them so much, and they're so, like, compared to my life, they're just so, like up there, and you're like, yes. And then you've got this weird, every single one of them has this one or two things that you just go, holy hell, that compares to nothing I have in my life. Like, I have these big, broad, redneck, white trash things that have happened, and you have these, it's almost like the rich family that just had, yes, and he killed people on the side. He used to bury bunnies under his bed in a box. But he was great. But he was also a doctor. What? Your family has some weird things. All right, guys. So your opinion on suicide. If you want to ask us some questions, go ahead. Send them into. You can go to ChristopherTitus.com. You can go to the email site to contact us and put them on there.
You can also TitusPodcast@gmail.com.
TitusPodcast@gmail.com. Yeah. I want you guys to know we're going to be at the San Jose Improv this week. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Voice in my head plus some new material. I'll be working on about 10 or 12, maybe 15 minutes of new material this weekend. Oh, I'm so scared. I hate this part. I really hate this part.
You will?
I will. I will have it. I intended to write it the next couple of days. This is the weirdest part for me. Special's done. I'm finishing editing it. It's great. Now I got to toss it. And it's always hard, man. God, it's always hard to do this.
So we are in San Jose. You're going to be doing that in San Jose this weekend.
Yes, at the San Jose Improv.
Sunday.
Friday through Sunday. San
And
Jose
then,
Improv.
super, super duper, two of our favorite clubs to wrap up this year. We're going to be in Denver at Comedy Works in December. And then Schaumburg, Chicago Improv. Super awesome to end the year, right? And then we go into theaters next year.
Yes, we're doing a lot of theaters.
And so on sale, we've got Grand Rapids, Michigan, Wealthy Theater on sale. Then the next night is Milwaukee, Vogel Hall on sale. And the next night, Minneapolis, Pantages, which is selling ridiculously fast.
I can't believe how far out it is, and we already sold half the tickets. That's crazy.
And then the last weekend is Texas, and Dallas has gone on sale already, and that is moving like a mo. It actually went on sale yesterday, and all the early bird tickets sold out. We had some discounted tickets. Crazy. So by then, you'll have a ton of new stuff.
Yep. Oh, I have to.
Yeah.
I should be pushing, by January, I'll be pushing 45 minutes of new stuff at least.
In the interest of having a little bit of listener input, other than Brad's Ask Us Questions input.
And Ask Willie.
Right? That's what I'm talking
you
about.
got to call with Ask Willie.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what she's talking about.
So this Christopher Major Carter.
Yes.
I don't know if that's his real name, but that's what he says it is. He wanted to let you know that last week when we were talking about Bill Cosby, whenever that was.
Right, a couple weeks ago.
And you said that he was on the electric company.
He wasn't?
That was Morgan Freeman.
Oh, no.
And we just wanted to tell you that was racist.
Wasn't he on...
You're racist.
Yeah, man. Morgan Freeman and Bill Cosby, two different black people, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not.
No.
What the fuck that mean, man? What the hell does that mean, man? Sometimes they are. What?
This is exactly what happened to that guy, Sam Rubin, here. He was on an interview.
Oh, that was the worst.
With...
Sam's a friend, too. I like Sam.
He was on the interview with whom?
He was on with Sam Jackson, and he said, "Hey, I love your new commercial for." It was a Morgan Freeman commercial, American Express commercial, or something.
Well, Samuel Jackson does Capital One,
but I think it was American Express or something. He's like, love new American Express commercial. He goes, what? And Sam Jackson, talk about a guy who has no filter and no diplomacy. He just goes, he is Jules, man. He just goes, what? He goes, your commercial, the American Express goes, man, that's Morgan Freeman, man. You got the wrong Negro. And he starts
what, you think we all look alike?
It was bad. Now, Sam Jackson, to his credit, was laughing, but there was a little bit of harshness.
Yeah, Sam Jackson kind of dude that, like, every black person a little bit afraid of Sam Jackson.
Every white person
right,
is a little bit afraid of Sam Jackson.
Mm.
Yeah, you're right. He one of them people that every people, we all could come together as one to have a little fear of Sam Jackson. Maybe that's the binding thing. What brings all of humanity together? We all kind of afraid of Sam Jackson. You know what? And I think that's your Gandhi moment for the year. We're all afraid of Sam Jackson.
In kind of a hot, sexy way. We're all afraid of it.
Okay, it just got weird.
Also, I want to say this.
Please go to ChristopherTitus.com, by the way, get DVDs and T-shirts. Go ahead. Sorry.
For Cricks Mix.
Cricks Mix.
Roland Ryan actually posted a quote, too.
Okay. What is the quote?
Well, I was giving you the talk symbol so that you would talk because
so you
my
can find
thing
it.
just went away.
I want to tell you guys, Christmas, we're going to do a deal this year for the box set, which is the first 4 DVDs, and Voice in My Head. The 5th one, there'll be a special deal. It'll be on the website next week. Keep looking for it, and for Christmas. Yeah, and you can give people 7.5 hours of comedy.
Cricks Mix.
It'll be for Cricks Mix.
All right, you're
it'll
good. You're done.
It'll be a hell of a price.
It
And
is.
now I'm getting the shut the hell up sign. Go ahead now. Go ahead.
This is terrible.
It is horrible.
Roland Ryan posted this quote, and I loved it. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it.
Right.
I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, to investigate it, think about it, and without having, and yet that's that thing you did that you're a wonderful. By the way, guys, thanks for all the feedback on her Armageddon update last week. It was phenomenal, and you can stop now because I don't need to hear it anymore. Working my ass off for 3 years on this. She does 3 of them, and all of a sudden she says, "God,
Goddess.
Yeah, well, she got time to work on it. You just blah, blah, blah every week, man. She actually...
Oh, please. Don't. No, don't.
Yeah.
You're like trying to explain it for him. No, just.
thank you, man.
By
I'm
the
glad
way,
you got my back."
I told you I'll kill you if you want to be killed.
Okay, that's not what I meant, and we're not talking about that anymore. And now, from sea to shining sea, from continent to continent, from she to shining she. It's Bombshell Rae with the Bombshell News.
It was funny. We actually had someone come up to me in Charlotte, wherever we were, the Carolina tours, and the guy said, "I've been listening to the podcast so long, I know what means."
Wow.
And I was like, wow. A new Bill Cosby accuser has come out.
A new one?
A new one.
Oh,
and
no.
she is actually revealing specific and troubling details of 2 different alleged
I love that
rapes.
these are troubling. Roofing a bunch of teenagers and having sex with them where they wake up in Bill Cosby's T-shirt and him going, "You should hold your hair back when you throw vomit up into the toilet." Just like, I love that these are disturbing. Well, how disturbing are these?
Well, this is disturbing enough that it happened in 1996. So, yeah, I mean...
So do you guys understand this? And I'm going to say this because there was a very harsh thing put on Bill Cosby's website, pretty much just very much stating that his attorney, blah, blah, blah. If someone says that you did something and it happened in 1996, first of all, it's Bill Cosby, so you're actually putting your ass on the line because basically if you're lying at all and there's no evidence, you're going to just get trashed. That being said, the statute of limitations is up, so you can't even prosecute. I think she maybe just wants other women to not have this happen to them.
Well, she said the first one happened in 69 or 70, something like that. It's a publicist, and she was drugged too. He made her a red eye, and she said she drank it. She said she was repulsed by him. That apparently that was the feeling to be around him. But anyway, yeah, he's actually put an attorney statement on the front page of his website now, and he is not talking. And he did an interview on NPR with Camille, and the guy asked him about it,
It's
and
great.
it just
Listen
goes
to it.
dead silent.
Yeah, I heard that. Did you hear that, man? Did you hear? She played it for me today.
I will say she told me about it earlier. The dude says, "You know, all these people talking about you, Bill. Man, why don't you come out and make a statement and say it didn't happen?" And then the dude goes, Bill's shaking his head. "You sure don't want to make a statement right now, Ms. Cosby, talk about what you're doing, because you're doing good work here, and we want to make sure that your reputation is clear." And the guy goes, Bill Cosby shaking his head. And then there's a really long pause. It was an uncomfortable bit of radio, I thought.
And then he wrapped it up, and it was over.
Yeah, and he goes, "All right, then, Bill Cosby and Camille giving some art to the Smithsonian." And there was no other responses from the Cosbys.
So what do you think?
Look, man, very powerful man, do what he want. I don't know, man. You know, I don't know. I got to tell you, man, it's hard. Listen, all of us, white, black, yellow, whatever, we all love Bill Cosby. You And if he did this, it's so wrong that it's hard to wrap your mind around. It's like saying that Mother Teresa, oh yeah, wait, yeah, I remember when she sold crack. What? And then you had 7 people come out who bought crack from Mother Teresa. All of a sudden you're like, man, maybe Mother Teresa sold crack. But she was also Mother Teresa. Sometimes maybe you got to feel like that about Bill Cosby.
So wait a minute. Hold on. You're saying...
I don't know that he's actually traveling to foreign countries and sleeping on
and
dirt floors, saving
lepers.
babies. Yeah.
He's not doing that.
I don't know about that. I mean, he acted on a TV show where he pretended to be a really amazing guy while he made millions of dollars and wore $2,000 sweaters and $3,000 shoes, and they brought him cold water and patted sweat off of his forehead. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, maybe...
So you're saying that you don't think Bill Cosby's Mother Teresa?
Maybe he wasn't in the trenches.
All right, when you put it that way, I feel stupid.
Thank you.
Okay, let's say, it'd be like if 50 Cent sold crack. Oh, 50 Cent used to sell crack.
Okay, yeah, stop talking, man. You gotta stop.
And it's nothing like that at all.
Stop talking.
50 Cent has bullet holes in his jaw. What are you talking about?
The man has been ventilated 9 times. Yeah.
Suge Knight, man, that dude won't die. That's the devil. Everybody's looking at Obama. That dude, he just got shot like 9 times again, and he's alive.
Yeah.
Our friends had brunch sitting next to him.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do never, please, man, never be in a restaurant with Suge Knight, because I will say something. I'll be like, hey, man. Hey, so when Tupac was with you, I would start asking questions and go, you're this badass, and Eminem won't even say his name, and I'm sitting there talking on a podcast. I'm going to shut up. We're editing this part.
Blah, blah, blah.
I don't even know who you are, man. Who's this dude? Who this white dude talking about Suge Knight? You stupid, man. Shut up.
Yeah, you're right. I'm telling you to shut up, but I'm the one who definitely needs to shut up.
I'm coming out with old people still kicking it.
Old people still, and now from across the world, it's old people. Yeah. Kicking
it. Declared dead, a 91-year-old woman wakes up 11 hours later in the funeral home. Talk about still kicking it.
It's talking about trying to bury her ass fast too. 11 hours. They had her in the funeral home. They weren't at the service. She was actually
she was in cold storage.
Oh no.
This is a family who was just like, look, she has lived way too long.
Right. Put her in the meat locker.
Are we in a right to die? 91 years old in Poland, declared dead on November 6th, sent to a funeral home, put in cold storage. She's now home and doing fine.
But she's wearing a shawl because she was fucking cold.
The doctor said,
in the meat locker.
The doctor goes, well, I checked the pulse on the forearm artery, carotid artery also. I listened to her heart, to the breathing. I examined the pupils. No reflexes. Typical symptoms of death.
Yeah, but if you listen to her heart and her breathing, one of the symptoms of not death is heartbeat and breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really... Poland? Boy, there's some Polish jokes there from the 50s that need to be brought back.
Yep, well, she's home. I'm feeling much better. Thank you. And changing her will.
Yeah, exactly. She's on the rewrite right now.
Yeah. And by the way, I just want to say, Gary Holland from Arizona sends us stories every week on our podcast page, and some of these are from him, and I just wanted to give him a shout out. This is for you in honor of today. Motorists fined when they don't stop to let Donald Duck cross the road.
Sorry, the worst Donald Duck ever.
I don't know what he said, except I heard motherfucker at the end, and it's unsettling.
I'm trying to walk here.
Oh. He's got a dirty mouth.
Donald Duck, by the way, Donald Duck tones it down for Disney all the time. Every time he swears all the time. Whenever you see Donald Duck on a Disney cartoon going crazy, he's cussing. He's just cussing in duck.
Drivers in New Jersey.
Did you say he cussing in duck? What? Oh, man. You're stupid.
Drivers in Fort Lee, New Jersey were fined $230 for not letting Donald Duck cross the road.
What do you mean? Oh, I saw there was something, a guy in a 6-foot Donald Duck costume.
It's an officer dressed up as Donald Duck who was used to catch motorists who refused to stop.
Oh, they had a pedestrian sting? What town is this?
New Jersey.
Really? Yeah, because New Jersey
Fort
doesn't
Lee.
have... Boy, so the mob is running New Jersey so well that the only crime that cops can actually bust people on is not stopping for a pedestrian.
This woman
That's
that got the ticket, Karen Haig,
that makes
she
me
told
sad.
Eyewitness News, she said, they told me I was getting a ticket for not stopping for a duck. Here's her defense. But it scared me. I'm a woman. This huge duck scared me. So there's her defense. It's
How
a
do I know
6 foot tall duck.
That wasn't rapey duck. How do we know that? Huh?
Yeah. Any 6 foot tall man that's dressing as a duck.
Chris Christie's got to change his policies in New Jersey. Whose brilliant idea was that?
She probably could have just let him cross. She didn't have to open her vagina skirt for him.
I will tell you this. If you live on the East Coast, nobody is stopping for you. If you're going to cross the street, nobody stops for you. In New Jersey, New York, East Coast, Boston, you run.
That's a good point.
You don't run. West Coast, we like, oh my God, he's pulling out. Like, if you slap your Birkenstock on the street in California, man, people might will screech to a stop. But on the East Coast, no. That's the dumbest police idea I've ever heard in my life.
Or the best. Speaking of crystal meth, a woman wearing an I Love Crystal Meth t-shirt gets arrested for possession of crystal meth. Yeah.
So crystal meth causes...
Lewy body dementia.
I called it Dewey Decimal Dementia, by the way, just now.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did. I need help.
You definitely need help.
That was in Kentucky,
Yep.
but I just thought it was great that she's wearing the shirt and she got arrested and she was in possession of.
You know, if you're doing a drug, people, don't advertise that you're doing the drug on your person.
Yeah, but sometimes the most obvious thing is the least obvious, and maybe that's what they had a discussion about, she and her boyfriend, before she left for the day.
Except when you're on crystal meth and you're acting like you're on crystal meth, and someone goes, "Why is she acting so weird?" And you're wearing.
Oh,
a
you know what
t-shirt
that's an
that says-
example of?
What?
If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck.
It's doing crystal meth.
Yeah.
That's
You were
exactly.
supposed to say it as the duck.
Oh, I know. I can't talk very well like that. It's hard. Try it. You try to talk like Donald Duck. Can you do it? Some people can do it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, try it.
What do? You just build up a lot of spit?
Yeah, you sound like a duck that's basically...
How do you
wow,
do it?
it's got bronchitis. Wow, that's pretty good, dude.
That was good.
Yeah, I could do it, man. I could do it a little bit. Let
Do it again.
Let me start do it again.
It's not
Yeah, but you're not
talking,
saying
though.
anything. You're just making noises. You sound like a duck that's being choked out at a murder site in some sort of ditch somewhere. Don't kill me.
Okay.
Hey, we're back. We came full circle. Listen,
A man gets impaled on a shovel. I just want to segue. A man gets impaled on a shovel, sent to the ER. A whole shovel, like not a baby shovel, not a sand shovel. He's
Like a
impaled on a
full-on-
full shovel.
full on digging a
There's a
foundation
wooden
shovel.
handle coming out of his arse.
Oh, out of his ass. Why?
Well, that might be the question on the tip of everyone's brain that doesn't have Lewy body dementia. He fell off of a roof. And the shovel was, you know, how people stick them in the dirt.
Yes.
It was not one. Yeah.
Oh, he didn't get impaled by the sharp end. It was just sticking in the dirt, and he got impaled by the pole, like by the handle.
The pole. You say that like that's better.
I'm sorry. The shovel blade's about a foot wide, and if you'd fell on a shovel up like that, it would have just cut you in half. So I mean, okay, all right. Ask me a question. If you got to fall on a shovel, which side? Pole side.
I'll choose the flat side.
It's gonna put
Mine's lying on the ground. You idiot.
Yeah,
Who would choose that side? You freak. You dirty little freak. I'll choose the pointy side.
No, the pole side. If you have to fall on, okay, this is the stupidest conversation we've ever had.
No,
we've
it's
had
not.
some. Yes, it's close.
There's way worse.
I know. All right, guys. We are going to be in San Jose again this weekend, San Jose Improv. A couple weeks after that, we're going to be at the Denver Improv, and then we're going
No.
Denver Comedy Works.
The opposing club in town.
Yeah, we're not going to be at the Denver Improv because we've never performed there. I won't even go there actually.
You haven't been there, have you ever?
I think maybe, but I wasn't working for the Comedy Works.
Comedy
yet.
Works is so super awesome.
Guys, you got to go to the Comedy Works. It's such a great club.
Yeah. Anyway, that and then Schaumburg Improv in Chicago.
Yes.
But then starting next year, and I'll be getting your web guy to put up all of the theater dates. It's a lot of theater dates next year in cities that you have not been to in a very long time. So a lot of people that have been asking for cities, we notice it, we ignore you because that's we just
Because we can do nothing about it.
right. But now we can, and so we're taking it under advisement. That's why you're in Minneapolis in January.
Angry Pursuit of Happiness, the new special, will be out in about 7 days. Do you guys want to download it, or do you guys want to have hard copies? Probably going to do both. Basically, you'll be able to download it in about 10 days.
Download.
And then for Christmas, we'll have hard copies you can order.
Also, it's Christmas time, so make sure when you go on the website, we will be running some Black Friday deals on the website for Cricks Mix. All DVDs also available on Amazon. But make sure that you go. This is terrible. Do it like a duck.
You do it like a duck.
Then why don't y'all do it like a duck?
Okay, we're stupid now. I think the duck thing, we've burned it out.
Click on the Amazon link on the website on ChristopherTitus.com.
Yeah, help us out,
when
guys.
you go through to buy anything on Amazon, and it'll help us out.
Yeah, helps the podcast out, keeps the doors open, keeps the lights on.
Gives us a place to sleep.
Right. All right, guys, it's Titus Podcast. Thanks for listening. For myself, the lovely Bombshell Rae, and Willie Jello Johnson. Later.
Peace out.
Jello. Yeah, that was a weird one.
Did you try to say Jello?
I gave it a shot, man.